The latest Pompey news, updates every day from the Pompey Sound news desk.
Football League World have come up with a rather unique take on some players that Pompey could recruit.
Portsmouth have got off to a solid start to the season, with 4 points from their opening 3 matches having them sat in the middle of the pack early on. John Mazzino managed to guide Pompey to safety in the Championship last season, after an extremely poor start to the season which had supporters concerned about whether they would stay afloat in the second tier. Now those worries about surviving their return to the Championship are gone. The Blues are looking to press on and improve on last season's solid 16th place finish. With that in mind, Football League World decided to take a look at 2 players Portsmouth should look to bring in before the transfer window slams shut next week. It's already been a busy window at Fratton Park, with plenty of new faces such as Josh Knight and Mark Kosnowski coming through the door, but there are still areas that need strengthening before the window closes. A familiar face at Fratton Park, Freddie Potts spent last season on loan with the Blues, after a successful first senior loan spell with Wycombe Wanderers in League One the year before. Once again, the midfielder became a firm favourite at his loan club, impressing with his composure in the middle of the park, and his excellent passing range, which has seen him become very highly rated by parent club West Ham United. Potts was handed his long-awaited Premier League debut against Chelsea on Friday, as he appeared from the bench, but it's unclear how consistently the 21-year-old will feature for the Irons in the league this season. Following an injury sustained to Callum Lang against Norwich City, Mazzino was clear that he wanted to add reinforcements in the wide areas, as Portsmouth currently look rather thin on the ground on the wings. Over recent transfer windows, Pompey have become rather well known for their adventures into the Australian market, with players such as Jacob Farrell, Hayden Matthews, Thomas Waddingham and Adrian Segecic all arriving from down under. Combining their recent exploration of the A-League and the need for a new winger, Mazzino's next Australian import should be Newcastle Jets wide man Clayton Taylor, who is looking for a way out of the club, as he nears the end of his contract.
It would be quite a thing if Clayton Taylor were to join us, to be so top-heavy with Australians. And we don't have a problem with it, do we? They're all quality players, and they're very young. And one thing that's been omitted from that report in Football League World is that Clayton Taylor is just 21. He's just 21. But for a winger, he's not huge. He's 5'9", typical winger's build, really. But he's very prolific. Goal scoring, he played 48 times for Sydney FC, scoring 13 goals. And then he played 51 games to date for Newcastle Jets, scoring 14 goals. So in a career total with those 2 clubs of 99 appearances, he scored getting on for 30 goals, which is a pretty good strike rate, isn't it? He's Australian through and through, but so is half our team these days, which is fantastic.
Isaac Hayden has landed himself in hot water for saying all the right things about his new club QPR, which many Pompey fans took to be a slight on the Blues. Here's how it's being reported. Hayden completed his return to West London following a temporary stint in the back end of the 2023-24 season, where he amassed 17 appearances. It appears the Jamaica international fondly remembers his time at the Hoops and used the Fratton Park contest against QPR in February as an example. The ex-Arsenal ace believed he was lining up on the wrong team, despite Pompey going on to secure a 2-1 victory. He told the club website following his arrival, "I had a few options to go abroad, but it was one of those where if I was going to stay in the Championship, it was only going to be one club, and I'm just glad to get it done. Last year when I was at Portsmouth, it was quite difficult to play against the guys. I felt like I was lining up on the wrong team."
Felt like he was lining up on the wrong team. That's what upset quite a few Pompey fans, and you can see why. Because we don't want to hear that somebody who was representing us, you pays your money, you deserve your opinion, is not giving his all, is somehow falling short of the 100% that you have to have in football at this level. I personally don't think that was the case, because he's a professional first and foremost, and he'll play his heart out, or at least play to the right level of commitment, whatever colour shirt he's got on. His affinity for QPR could have something to do with the geography of the situation. It may be that he wants a permanent move. He wants to be able to put down some roots, and London appeals to him for whatever reason a little bit more than Portsmouth. And of course, he's free to hold that opinion. But he said the right things to QPR's website Every club expects a new player to say something along the lines of, it's always been his dream to wear this shirt. That it's de rigueur. And sometimes they know they don't mean it, and sometimes the fans know that they don't really mean it. But nevertheless, it's the right thing to say, and he said the right thing. He just probably went a little bit too far in talking specifically about where his heart lay when we entertained QPR that afternoon. Anyway, he's got plenty of stick on social media from Pompey fans for that, and it will be over and done and dusted and totally forgotten in the time it takes to say Queen's Park Rangers. So, listen, Isaac, I should say, you did us a good job. You were very solid. You didn't light up the sky. There were no fireworks, but you did the right thing. You stood in the right place. You made the right tackles. You won the aerial duels. You were a very effective player. We have something to thank you for, along with all the other players who played a significant part in keeping Pompey in the Championship last season. So, onwards and upwards.
Portsmouth have further subsidised the cost of coach travel for fans, heading to the, quote, high-risk, unquote, South Coast derby at Southampton on the 14th of September. The fixture will be the first between the sides at St Mary's in more than 13 years, with the only more recent meeting between the bitter rivals, an EFL Cup tie at Fratton Park 6 years ago. Blues fans must use club-managed travel to get to and from St Mary's for the midday Sunday kick-off, and the club have decided to cover the full damage insurance costs for coach operators, rather than passing the cost on to fans. A club statement said, "We are conscious of the high cost of attending this much-anticipated contest for our supporters. The price of travelling to the game has been exacerbated by damage insurance costs for coach operators, for what is a high-risk fixture." The club had already absorbed the cost of the added facilities that are required, as well as a proportion of these damage insurance costs. But after careful consideration, we have decided to subsidise these additional damage insurance costs in full. The move will drop the price of coach travel down £4.50 per person to £18.
Must admit, we'd never thought about coach insurance for away games before. But it makes sense that the insurer is going to want to know if the coach is being driven into a challenging environment. I nearly said hostile. Let's say challenging. If everybody on the coach is wearing blue and everybody in and around the ground is wearing red, then words might be exchanged. And half bricks might be mobilised. And people bang on the side of coaches, the away coach, in a sort of semi-friendly way, actually. They're not trying to cause any damage. They just want it to be acknowledged that the home side has a presence, and that they'd better not come here and take 3 points and go home. So it's an interesting one. And if it's £4.50 per head that the club is very kindly supporting, the cost of travel, then that's £4.50 per head times 50 per coach, which is about £300 per coach. So I think you can work out from that the cost of this extra insurance to cover a Pompey coach going into Southampton for the derby game, the additional premium is £300. Let's hope, obviously, that it doesn't have to be exercised and that no harm comes either to supporters of either side or to any coaches.